The Galactic Council was the ruling body of the known universe, an elite assembly of warlords, strategists, and military masterminds from over 50 dominant species. They had witnessed the rise and fall of empires, had crushed rebellions before they could begin, and had dictated the rules of war for centuries. And yet, on this day, they found themselves indulging in what could only be described as cosmic comedy. "Let the primate try," rumbled High Warlord XY Vaka, his deep, resonant voice sending vibrations through the chamber. "We could use a moment of entertainment before the real demonstration begins." A ripple of amusement spread through the council chamber, a colossal, circular hall where the universe's most powerful beings gathered to discuss warfare. Hundreds of alien dignitaries, warlords, and military officials watched from their floating observation platforms, their eyes locked on the tiny, insignificant figure standing in the center of the chamber. The human. Sergeant Alexander Voss. A single soldier, clad in standard Earth combat gear, holding an outdated, slug-based sniper rifle, a weapon most galactic species considered obsolete by several millennia. The event taking place today was the Grand Military Exhibition, a demonstration of each species' precision weaponry. It was a way for the galactic elite to measure who was superior in terms of ranged warfare, and who was falling behind. The best marksmen from across the stars had already fired their most advanced weapons, using plasma accelerators, particle disruptors, and guided quantum projectiles, each missing the perfect bullseye by mere inches. The reigning champion was Estak Ma, a Sci-Fi sharpshooter who had just demonstrated why his species was regarded as the deadliest when it came to precision. His shot, executed with a plasma lance rifle that calculated gravitational shifts in real time, had struck within 3 inches of the center of the floating target 2 miles away. It was an achievement beyond even the most advanced targeting systems. And now, as Voss stepped forward, there was nothing but mockery. A reptilian general from the Scarval Dominion chuckled, his forked tongue flicking out. "Ah, yes, let us see how far back this ballistic weapon sets them. Perhaps we should bring out sticks and stones next." More laughter. A feline-like warlord leaned in, her golden eyes amused. "Shall we give him a club? A spear, perhaps?" Even the officials overseeing the event looked bored. The event moderator, a 3-armed bureaucrat from the Sci-Fi Imperium, sighed. "Very well, Earth representative. Proceed with your attempt." Voss said nothing. He just set down his rifle case. The chuckling continued as the humans watching from their designated section remained still, stone-faced, unmoving. They had seen this reaction before. It never lasted. Voss knelt, assembling his weapon with methodical precision. He moved slowly, not because he was struggling, but because he was measuring. Every motion, every breath, was calculated. He wasn't just setting up a rifle. He was preparing a kill. As he locked the scope into place, he ran silent calculations in his head. The target hovered 2 miles away, a 10-centimeter wide disc, spinning, shifting unpredictably through fluctuating gravitational currents. Most species relied on computers to make these calculations in real time. The best marksmen in the universe had fired using weapons equipped with AI-assisted trajectory prediction. Voss? He was using instinct. The audience continued their mockery, but something shifted. At first, it was imperceptible. Then, a few aliens stopped laughing. There was something different about the way the human moved. His breathing was slow, too slow. His heartbeat, according to the biometric scanners, was dangerously steady. The Sci-Fi champion narrowed his insectoid eyes. He had seen the best snipers in the universe operate. Their breathing was controlled, their form was perfect. But this? This was something else. "Take the shot, human," the event moderator sighed, clearly impatient. Voss inhaled. The chamber fell silent. He exhaled. The trigger moved. The gunshot barely registered before the target exploded. Silence. Then, chaos. Every warlord, general, and marksman froze. The data screens flickered in disbelief. The computer-controlled analytics confirmed it instantly. The shot had landed dead center. The Sci-Fi sharpshooter twitched involuntarily. That was impossible. No species, not even his own, could account for the constant gravitational distortions without AI assistance. But Voss had. With a gunpowder-based weapon. The chamber erupted in confusion. A reptilian warlord hissed, pointing at the screen. "That must be an error. Check the readings." The Sci-Fi moderator's skin had paled to a sickly green. He muttered something under his breath as the computers rechecked the data. No error. No trick. No hidden technology. Just a human with a rifle. Voss stood, emotionless, as the officials scrambled to process what had just happened. He wasn't done. Without a word, he adjusted his sights. And fired again. The bullet veered off course. At least, that's what it looked like, until it ricocheted off a reflective panel 10 miles away, twisted through the atmosphere, and struck a target hidden from view. A shot no alien had even considered possible. Silence. Dead silence. The Sci-Fi champion took a step back. His mandibles twitched violently. The warlords, who had been mocking him just moments ago, were no longer laughing. Voss turned toward the Galactic Council. His voice was quiet. But it carried. That was just warm-up. The chamber had been silent for far too long. It wasn't just the silence of shock. It was the kind of silence that settled deep in the bones, a heavy, suffocating realization that something had shifted, something had changed, and nothing would ever be the same again. For centuries, the Galactic Council had prided itself on its unquestioned supremacy. They were the architects of war, the undisputed rulers of military strategy. Every species present had fought and conquered countless others, always victorious, always in control. And yet, a single human sniper had just humiliated them all. A primitive species, barely scratching the surface of interstellar travel, had just redefined precision warfare in a matter of minutes. The warlords and high-ranking officials didn't know how to react. Some were still staring at the data screens, as if expecting them to change. Others had stopped breathing altogether, watching Voss like he was something unnatural. And then, as if sensing the fear in the room, he simply left. He picked up his rifle, secured his gear, and walked out, without a word, without a look back. It was almost insulting. The event moderator, still pale, turned to the council. What do we do? The question rippled through the chamber like a warning siren. Because that was the real problem. What do you do when someone just rewrote the rules of war? The challenge. 4 days after the demonstration, the event became the only topic of discussion in every war chamber, every military symposium, and every intelligence network. Some called it a fluke. Some whispered about an evolutionary anomaly, a human born with some unnatural ability to calculate ballistics. Others, the smart ones, started to panic. Because if one human could do it, how many more were out there? The council knew they had to act. They had to silence the rising whispers that humanity was on the verge of changing everything. So they came up with an impossible challenge. A mission that would settle the debate once and for all. And if the human failed? Then humanity would return to its place, beneath them. The unkillable target. The mission was simple in theory, impossible in execution. The target? Zyverus the Undying. A name that carried weight across the stars. Zyverus was more than just a warlord, he was a legend. Leader of the Esthar Dominion, a brutal empire built on conquest, Zyverus had survived 27 assassination attempts, some from the most advanced killing machines in the galaxy. He ruled from the Black Fortress, a moving asteroid base, constantly shifting through hyperspace lanes, cloaked by energy distortions that made long-range targeting impossible. No guided missile had ever reached him. No drone could get close. Even the best AI-assisted snipers had failed. Zyverus wasn't just a warlord. He was a ghost. And the Council's challenge? If humanity is so precise, let them kill the unkillable. The message was sent to Earth through official channels. The Council expected weeks of deliberation. Maybe months. They got their answer in one sentence. The humans' response. The official communication was sent directly to the United Terran military. The transmission was encrypted, locked, and sent to the highest-ranking military officials on Earth. When they finally decrypted the message, every human general in the war room read it in silence. They turned to Sergeant Alexander Voss. He had been expecting them. Without hesitation, without even a moment of doubt, Voss leaned forward, tapped the encrypted reply code, and typed out 3 words. How far away? That was it. No questions. No hesitation. As if the challenge wasn't a question of if, only where. The war room erupted in quiet, nervous chuckles. Because deep down, they already knew the truth. Zyverus was already dead. The planning begins. From the moment the mission was accepted, the entire weight of Earth's military intelligence fell behind it. Every previous assassination attempt against Zyverus was analyzed. Every failure dissected. Every known movement pattern memoized. The Galactic Council assumed that Earth would send a full strike team. Maybe even an experimental warship. Instead, the plan came down to one man, one rifle, and a shot so complex no computer could predict it. Because Voss wasn't going to shoot at Zyverus. He was going to shoot at something else. something no one would expect. And when the shot finally landed, the council would wish they had never issued the challenge at all. The fear spreads. As the mission date approached, whispers began spreading across the galactic military networks. A warlord from the Vraxis clans muttered in a closed meeting, they accepted the challenge too fast. A Sci-Fi admiral, normally dismissive of human capability, was now silent. The council members who had laughed at Voss before? They weren't laughing anymore. Because deep down, they knew. If Voss succeeded, if a human sniper broke the laws of physics and killed Zyverus from an impossible distance, then nowhere in the galaxy would be safe. Not their fleets. Not their bunkers. Not their thrones. And for the first time in history, the most powerful warlords in the universe were afraid of one man. A man with a rifle. A man who never missed. The Galactic Council had set the terms. They had chosen the most unkillable target in the known universe. They had built this challenge as an impossible wall, a final statement that human precision was nothing compared to the perfection of advanced warfare. And yet, in the days leading up to the mission, an unease settled over the warlords and admirals watching from the shadows. Because while the council was still debating the logistics, still reviewing the parameters of the challenge, still ensuring that every possible rule was followed, Sergeant Alexander Voss was already en route to make the kill. And he wasn't going to miss. The fortress in the dark. Zyverus the Undying had ruled for over a century, and in that time, no assassin had ever come close to taking his life. His black fortress was a moving target, an asteroid base wrapped in adaptive cloaking technology, constantly shifting through randomized hyperspace lanes. No fleet could track it. No AI-assisted targeting system could lock on. Even if a sniper somehow found the fortress, there was still the planet-sized shield array, the orbiting decoy satellites, and the fleet of hardened warships that surrounded it at all times. A shot fired from outside the system would never land. A shot fired from inside the system would mean instant death for the sniper. That was the flaw in the Galactic Council's plan. They thought precision was just accuracy. But they had never seen how humans truly killed. They had never seen a real hunter at work. Voss's position. From a small, cold asteroid 11 light-minutes away, Voss lay still. His breathing was slow. Controlled. His body wrapped in a thermal dampening cloak that masked every heat signature. His rifle? It wasn't a plasma weapon. It wasn't a guided missile. It wasn't an AI-assisted targeting system. It was a ballistic rifle, custom-made, extended barrel, hyperdense ammunition. The last time Voss had fired a shot, it had humiliated the most advanced military minds in the galaxy. This shot? This shot would be impossible. At this distance, even the most sophisticated sniper AI would have no way to calculate the shot. The fortress wasn't just moving, it was shifting unpredictably through multiple gravitational wells, phasing in and out of hyperspace, surrounded by distortions. It was a nightmare of physics. A shot fired now would take 12 minutes to reach its target. By the time the bullet arrived, the fortress wouldn't even be in the same location. It would be half a solar system away. No computer could predict that trajectory. No alien sniper could adjust for that level of distortion. No ballistic round in the galaxy could make that journey. But Voss wasn't aiming at the fortress. The trick no one saw coming. The Galactic Council had spent weeks running simulations. They had tested every conceivable sniping method, every ballistic equation, every gravitational compensation model. They all said the same thing. A shot cannot be made. They were right. A direct shot was impossible. But Voss wasn't firing a direct shot. Instead, he had spent 3 days tracking something else. Something small. Something overlooked. An asteroid fragment. A tiny, fast-moving piece of space debris, approximately the size of a human skull. It had been orbiting near the outer edges of the system, pulled by the gravitational forces of the nearby planets, slingshotting unpredictably through space. Most scans ignored it. Most systems filtered it out as background noise. Voss had been watching it. Studying it. Measuring it. And when he exhaled and pulled the trigger, he wasn't firing at Zyverus. He was firing at the asteroid fragment. The bullet screamed through the void, an unguided projectile, unseen by any scanner, unregistered by any defense system. It wasn't aimed at the target. It was aimed at the future. Because 6 minutes after he fired, that asteroid fragment collided with another, sending a tiny ripple of debris into an entirely new trajectory. And when the bullet finally reached that same point in space, the asteroid fragment was right there waiting. The bullet ricocheted off the tumbling rock, changing direction, altering speed. Exactly as Voss had predicted. Now, the bullet was moving faster. Now, the bullet was on a new course. A course that would take it directly into the path of the Black Fortress. At the exact moment it re-entered real space. The death of Xivorus the Undying. Xivorus sat in his war chamber, surrounded by holographic maps of his empire. To him, this was just another day. Another petty meeting with the Galactic Council, another discussion about military campaigns and expansion. He had no idea he was already dead. At exactly 11 minutes and 59 seconds after the shot was fired, the bullet reached the final stage of its journey. It passed through the outer debris field, bypassing the scanning drones undetected. It cut through the gravitic distortions, riding the exact curvature of space that Voss had accounted for. And then, as the fortress completed its randomized hyperspace transition, the bullet slipped through the tiniest fraction of open space before the shields could realign. 1 millisecond. That was all it needed. The bullet punched through the viewport of Xivorus's war chamber and tore through his skull. He was dead before his body even hit the floor. The alarms blared. His elite guard scrambled. The fleet outside scrambled for a threat that did not exist. There was no sniper ship. No assassin. No detectable enemy. Just a single bullet that had taken 12 minutes to land. A bullet fired from a distance so absurd that the best war strategists in the universe would refuse to believe it had ever happened. But it did. And when the Galactic Council received word of Xivorus's death, they knew. They had challenged a human sniper. And they had lost. The silence that followed. When the news reached the council chamber, no one spoke. Not the warlords. Not the admirals. Not the species who had laughed at Voss just days ago. Because what was there to say? Their most protected warlord had been erased from existence. By a single man. From a distance so unfathomable that no AI could calculate it. It wasn't just a defeat. It was a warning. And every species that had ever looked at humanity as weak, as primitive, as beneath them, now understood the truth. If a human had you in their sights, if a human had time to prepare, if a human had a rifle in their hands, you were already dead. The shot had landed. Xivorus the Undying, the unkillable warlord, was dead. And yet, no one knew how. There was no fleet assault. No infiltrator. No high-tech assassination squad. Just a single unguarded bullet that had traveled 12 minutes through space, ricocheted off a tumbling asteroid, and landed at the exact microsecond Xivorus emerged from hyperspace. A shot that should have been impossible. But humans had done it. More specifically, one human had done it. And now, the entire galaxy was afraid. The aftermath on the Black Fortress. The Black Fortress had been a symbol of power for over a century. Now, it was a tomb. Xivorus's guards were in chaos, scrambling through the corridors with weapons drawn, scanning for an enemy that did not exist. The elite War Council members stood over the warlord's lifeless body, staring at the clean hole drilled through his skull. The air was thick with confusion and dread. Xivorus had survived dozens of assassination attempts. His body was enhanced with regenerative nanotech. His armor could withstand direct plasma bursts. Yet he had died instantly. No warning. No struggle. No sign of an enemy. Just a perfectly placed round from a weapon that shouldn't have been able to reach him. A young Esthar officer muttered, voice trembling, "What did this?" The senior warlords didn't answer. Because deep down, they already knew. This wasn't some freak accident. This wasn't luck. This was a human. The Galactic Council's crisis meeting. The council chamber was usually a place of arrogance and politics, where warlords and rulers postured for dominance. But now? Now, the room was silent. Every major military leader, every high-ranking war strategist, every species that had once mocked humanity's precision sat in tense silence. A Sci-Fi admiral finally spoke. His species was known for its cold, logical minds, yet his voice shook as he spoke. This is a problem. The understatement of the millennium. A Kavar general, his deep red scales flickering with stress, hissed. A problem? An impossible shot just killed a warlord inside a fortress designed to repel entire fleets. And we don't even know where it came from. The silence deepened. Because that was the worst part. The sniper was never detected. No ships had entered the system. No scout drones had been spotted. There had been nothing. The shot had come from the void itself. A cybernetics advisor played the footage in slow motion. Every warlord leaned in. The ballistic round had punched through the fortress at the exact microsecond the shields dropped for a hyperspace shift. It was not luck. It was not random. It was calculated. Someone had spent days, weeks, even, tracking the minuscule distortions of debris, gravitational shifts, and hyperspace windows to pull off a shot no AI could predict. Someone had made the impossible look easy. A deep, guttural voice cut through the room. The Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Council, a massive, armored being from the Trivan race, leaned forward. His cybernetic eyes flickered as he analyzed the data. He exhaled slowly. "This is not just a sniper," he rumbled. "This is a weapon." The realization, no one is safe. The Council's war planners began running probability models, trying to find a rational explanation. Maybe it was an AI-assisted round? A guided railgun? But the scans showed no electronic guidance. It had been a ballistic round. A simple, dumb piece of metal. Which meant this was human skill. A skill so advanced, so refined, that it had outperformed the best war machines in the galaxy. A skill that could rewrite the future of warfare. A skill that meant no one was untouchable anymore. Not the council members. Not the generals. Not the emperors hiding in their fortified bunkers. If a human sniper wanted you dead, you were dead. The warlords panic. What happened next would be remembered for centuries. For the first time in history, the most ruthless and powerful warlords in the galaxy turned to each other with genuine fear. Because the death of Zyverus wasn't just an assassination. It was a statement. A statement that had just changed the balance of power. "We need to sanction Earth," a Vraxis warlord barked. "Limit their weapons, their technology." "No," the Trivan Chancellor's voice cut through the room. "No, we don't sanction them." The warlords turned to him in shock. "Then what do we do?" The Chancellor leaned forward, eyes flickering with grim understanding. "We make them an ally." The message to Earth. For the first time in history, the Galactic Council sent a message to Earth with a different tone. Not as rulers. Not as conquerors. But as negotiators. The message was brief. It did not ask how Voss had made the shot. It did not demand an explanation. Because the answer did not matter. What mattered was the implication. Humanity had just proven something terrifying. And now, every leader in the galaxy had a choice. Be humanity's enemy. Or be on the same side as the sniper who never missed. The galaxy had mocked human precision. Now, they would fear it. And as the message was sent to Earth, the warlords whispered among themselves. If one human sniper can do this, imagine what happens when they train 1,000. Sergeant Voss, the ghost in the void. Somewhere, in the cold silence of deep space, Sergeant Alexander Voss sat on a barren asteroid. His rifle lay beside him, still warm from the legendary shot. He watched the distant glow of the Galactic Council's fleets, knowing they were scanning the stars, desperate to find him. They wouldn't. Because he was already gone. A shadow in the void. A name whispered in fear. A sniper beyond their understanding. And if they ever challenged humanity again, Voss would take the shot. And he would not miss. The Galactic Council had made its decision. Humanity would not be sanctioned. They would not be attacked. They would be courted. Feared. Respected. Because the alternative, making an enemy of the species that had bred snipers like Alexander Voss, was unthinkable. And yet, despite their best efforts, one truth remained. The shot could not be undone. The galaxy had changed forever. The hunt for the phantom sniper. Officially, the Council had ruled Zyverus's death as an unfortunate security lapse. Unofficially, every intelligence agency, every military empire, and every assassin's guild in the known universe had just received the same order. Find the sniper. Find the human who had humiliated them. Find the soldier who had turned an entire war doctrine into a joke. Find Alexander Voss, and eliminate him. Because as long as he lived, the galaxy would never feel safe again. Voss's next move. Deep in the void, Voss was already 3 steps ahead. He had known from the moment he took the shot that he would become the most hunted man in the galaxy. So, he did what he did best. He disappeared. No communication with Earth. No heat signatures. No traceable movement. Just the cold vacuum of space and a sniper who had outplayed entire species. He moved without a pattern, hopping from asteroid to asteroid, using planetary gravity wells to mask his movements. No one would find him. But that didn't mean he was done. Not yet. Because Voss wasn't just hiding. He was watching. The first assassins arrive. The first kill team sent after Voss vanished. A strike squad of elite Sci-Fi hunters, the best trackers in the known universe, deployed to the Outer Rim with one mission: find the human sniper. They lasted 3 days. Their bodies were later found drifting near an abandoned mining station, each with a single hole drilled between the eyes. Their ship's log had one last recorded message. We don't see him. We don't hear him. But we know he's here. His. Silence. Then a single gunshot. Then nothing. The legend grows. More teams followed. A covert Meridian stealth unit. A squad of Trivan death commandos, genetically engineered to survive planetary annihilation. A bounty hunter who had single-handedly eradicated a warlord's personal guard. Every single one met the same fate. A clean shot. No struggle. No trace of the sniper. Just a ghost in the void. And with every failed attempt, the fear spread deeper. Because Voss wasn't just surviving. He was sending a message. A sniper doesn't run. A sniper waits. And now, they were the ones being hunted. Earth's response. The Galactic Council tried to reach out to Earth diplomatically. They sent emissaries, offering trade deals, mutual defense pacts, even classified military technology, anything to ensure that humanity remained on their side. But Earth's response was cold. The United Nations Military Command issued only one statement. Sergeant Alexander Voss is not missing. He is exactly where he wants to be. The meaning was clear. They hadn't lost him. They weren't searching for him. Because he wasn't a rogue agent. Voss was a message. An unspoken warning to the entire galaxy. Earth did not forget. Earth did not forgive. And if the Council ever turned against them again, they already had their sniper in position. The final attempt. In a desperate move, the Council assembled one last team. A force unlike any before, an armada. Dozens of warships, elite hunters, AI-piloted drones, and psionic trackers. Their mission wasn't just to find Voss. It was to wipe out any trace of him. No more stealth. No more assassins. No more precision strikes. They were going to scorch every asteroid, every moon, every hiding place in the sector until there was nothing left. They were going to erase him. It was the largest-scale manhunt in galactic history. And yet, as they moved in, as their ships cast massive shadows over the void, as their drones swept the system in a perfect, inescapable net, Voss was already watching them. From a position they would never expect. And he had one last shot to take. The shot that ended the hunt. In the dead silence of space, Voss adjusted his rifle. He had been waiting for weeks. Studying their patterns, their blind spots, their arrogance. And now, they had given him the perfect shot. One ship. The flagship of the entire operation. The command vessel coordinating the fleet, issuing orders, linking every AI scanner into one centralized system. A single weak point in an otherwise impenetrable force. Voss exhaled. And fired. The bullet traveled for minutes, slipping through sensor shadows, bypassing energy shields by striking a microsecond before they adjusted for solar radiation. It punched through the command ship's bridge. The admiral in charge of the hunt never saw it coming. By the time his body hit the floor, the entire fleet collapsed into chaos. Communication cut out. Orders fragmented. Coordination fell apart. Within minutes, the greatest manhunt in history turned into a blind, flailing disaster. Ships collided. Scanners scrambled. The armada withdrew. And just like that, Voss disappeared again. The ghost who would not die. The legend of the sniper in the void became the most feared story in the galaxy. A story whispered in war rooms. A name spoken in dread. Because no one could find him. No one could kill him. No one could predict him. The galaxy had mocked human precision. Now, they were terrified of it. And in the end, as the Galactic Council buried their failures, as they erased reports and silenced whispers, they all knew the truth. Voss was still out there. Waiting. Watching. And if anyone was foolish enough to make humanity an enemy again, he would take the shot. And he would not miss.